If there is one thing that I have yet to master, it is the ability to talk to the camera while there's other people around. And as you may know, I've had a friend visiting me. Last week we toured all around the Kenai Peninsula, but before we can do any more sightseeing, I have a bunch of projects I need to get knocked off my to-do list around the cabin and the property. So join me as I get those taken care of, and I'll show you all the wildlife that has come through the property as well. There has been so much that has taken place. I don't actually own a lawnmower. Despite the fact that I have 5 acres of land, I have a very small batch of lawn that needs to be maintained. And it grows really, really fast, let me tell you. And I believe that this is where all the mosquitoes are coming from. They're nesting in the roots of this grass here. And so I want to do what I can to knock this down, help dry it out a little bit, and maybe eliminate some of the mosquitoes. But I don't think I'll ever truly get rid of all the mosquitoes I have here. And even in the dog run where I have my garden, this is actually the worst of it. Why? Because it's protected from the wind on 2 sides and it's shady. But let's take a look at the garden here first before I start whacking away at the weeds. As you can see, everything is coming in nicely, but I don't believe that my beets are ever going to amount to much. They're just too shaded. And the same thing could be said for my carrots. They're not getting enough light, and so I highly doubt I'm going to see any significant carrot growth out of here whatsoever. But all my brassicas are coming in nicely, and the celery seems to be doing fine back there. And these potatoes have really grown up. I need to get them hilled in now that they're getting tall. And I am starting to see some peas coming up on the vines as well. So looking forward to all of that coming up. But back to the task at hand. Before I can start harvesting, I need to, like I said, weed whack this grass in here. I did manage, you can see the water tank there in the back corner. I did manage to get that full of water. So I am able to water the garden directly. I don't need to come out with 5-gallon jerry cans anymore to water the garden, which is a nice treat. Uh-oh. I guess it's been a little long since I weed whacked back here. It's bad when the weeds get tangled up in the weed whacker. Here in the greenhouse, everything is doing great. Everything's tall and growing really well, including these cucumbers. And I should have had them trellised up already, but now is as good a time as any. Better late than never. And all I'm doing is taking some twine and I'm wrapping it around these logs that I have leaned up against the cabin wall here. And I'm just going to go around 4 or 5 times, basically creating rows. And then I'll come back along and go upwards and then back down to create a net, wrapping the twine around each horizontal strand as I go. And I've done this in years past and it's worked out great. It's a very inexpensive way of trellising up some vegetables. There is no need, in my opinion, to spend money on an expensive trellis when some simple twine and whatever you have on hand for supports will do. And let me tell you that this really works. I've used it, like I said, in years past, twining up things such as tomato plants, cucumbers, beans, you name it, and I've never had an issue with it failing on me. So if you're looking for a simple garden trellis, this little hack does wonders, let me tell you. The cucumbers themselves, they have little tendrils that they'll grab a hold of the trellis and hold on. They're really not a climbing plant per se, but these tendrils will help them to cling to whatever they come in contact with. And so I don't have to do a whole lot here, but feed it through and just get it started. And then as the cucumber plant tends to grow, I might have to come back and help feed it up through the newly created trellis. But like I said, this is a great little hack if you're looking for an inexpensive trellis system for your plants. So the pepper plants and the zucchini, squash, and the strawberries all seem to be doing really well in here. Currently, with the side of the greenhouse being open, it is 86 degrees in here. And overnight, it's getting down, I believe, to about 50 degrees inside the greenhouse. But I have several little jalapenos growing on both the plants. I don't know if you can see that through that leaf there, but there's lots of little jalapenos. I got about 4 peppers, one here, one there. Let's see, one there, one there, one there, and one there growing on this plant. This other one, I don't see any peppers on it yet, but I got a couple little zucchini growing. There's one here, one there, another one down there. So about 4 zucchini, 5 zucchini on that plant, 1 on that one. I have strawberries starting as well, but the cucumbers are just now starting to produce as well. So very pleased with how things are shaping up in the greenhouse. But I definitely needed to get this all twined up and provide a trellis for those cucumbers to grow on. When I first bought my property, believe it or not, it did have a decent lawn. Well, maybe not at the time that I bought it, but at the time when the previous owners lived here, there was definitely a lawn here, as you can see by these pictures. But by the time I acquired the property, that lawn was a dream long forgotten. And as time went on and I started stacking wood in what was once that lawn, it became even less likely that there would ever be a lawn there. And then came the fire pit and the swing, and before you know it, with all the vegetation going to the wayside, that meant that erosion started to take place and that I started to see some flooding on the property. But there were more changes to come to the front of the property, along with the loss of this giant spruce tree in the front. I was very sad to see that tree go, but it needed to go because it was dying, and I just had some electrical work done, which I showcased in a recent video. And now that that electrical work is done, there are more changes coming to the front of the property. Hopefully this time next year, I will be having some gravel put down to eliminate all that flooding that I've had in the last couple of years. As you can see right here behind the skid steer at the top of the screen, in the very center top there is what will eventually be a circular garden, as there is a circle drive that leads from the main drive towards the main cabin and then back towards that bunkhouse in the upper right hand corner of your screen, and then back out towards the drive. The whole purpose of this exercise is to actually increase the amount of turn radius that a vehicle would have, so that they could not only enter the property and maneuver around, but also exit the property without any issues. So my friend has, like I said, graciously agreed to help me knock out some of these projects. And this is just one of the projects that she's helping me with here. And all we're doing is we're pounding in some garden stakes as we map out how wide this circle garden needs to be, which will be 40 feet across in diameter. And here you can see that I'm marking the center of this future garden at 20 feet. And then from there, we're just going to take the tape measure and walk our way around the circle. Well, she's going to stand in the middle and hold that tape measure steady while I walk around and mark where that 20 foot mark is and pound stakes in every so often, just so we can get the garden plan to start to take shape. So now that I've got this marked out, you can really begin to see the definition of this garden and how much is going to be shaved away here. So this whole triangle right here, of course, is going to be shaved away. It's going to widen the drive lane from the swing back to the garden. So right now this is about 16 feet across, and it's going to be about 27 feet across here. And this corner here is going to be shaved away, so there's a nice turn radius as you're coming down this drive lane. It's going to widen the drive lane from the bunkhouse out to the main drive. So this will be about 21 feet here. And then it's really going to give me a nice turn radius right here, because all of this is going to be shaved off. So not only will there be a nice turn radius to turn down the main drive towards the cabin, but it's also going to widen the main drive. So right now the main drive is about 16 feet across here, maybe a little bit more, but no, it's about 16 feet. And now it is going to be 29 feet, so about 30 feet across here. So just about anything could be brought down the main drive towards the cabin, and this will give me a nice focal point and break up some of the rock, because again, all of this is going to be rocked over. This big area right here that's always flooded in front of the cabin each spring is going to be all rock. There's going to be a rock drive going between the current current outhouse. Please don't sleep in there. But between the current outhouse and that wood pile right there, there will be a drive heading back, and then a drive that loops all the way around the back of the cabin. This will be rock in here from here to basically the electric pole, and then rock behind the cabin as well. And again, that's going to give me a nice fire break. The shop is going to go here eventually, so there will be rock leading back to that as well. And like I said, this will give me a nice little garden area that'll just break up all that rock and provide some beauty to the eye. now that that project is complete, it is time to start another one, this time behind the cabin. Yep. This is the hatch that leads down into my root cellar. And as you can see, it's just constructed out of plywood, and that plywood might at one point have had some sealant on it, but it's been so long that that has since worn away if it was ever there. And this wood, even though it's ground contact wood, is starting to swell and splinter as it rains. And so I want to get that protected, and I'm doing this on the cheap here. Keep that in mind as you watch that I'm going to paint this piece of plywood, and my friend is going to help me paint all of this, every surface, and get this sealed up. Now, the reason I say I'm doing this on the cheap is twofold. One is paint does not hold up well on a flat surface out in the elements. So if ever you're thinking about painting a deck or something like that, I'm telling you right now, that paint will not last, and you'll be sorry that you did that. But here, this is just a temporary solution, because eventually I'd like to replace these doors with some metal doors that, you know, like an old storm cellar type metal door. We'll see if that happens, but for now, I'm using what I have on hand. So this is just some paint that I've used elsewhere on the property, and gonna get this all sealed up so that no more water can penetrate through this plywood, because earlier this year, when the rains were really heavy, it was actually seeping down into the entry of the root cellar itself. So to prevent that, this is what we're doing today. And I do want to say thank you to my friend for all of her help. I really appreciate her spending her time here helping me do this. I'm sure she didn't really mind, but I appreciate it nonetheless. So it looks like it's going to rain, and this still needs another coat. Plus you can see this light piece down here. This side of the hatch opens up, and so after this is dry, I'll open this up and paint the underside of this and that piece down there, that piece of trim that it's resting on, and give this a second coat. But like I said, right now, it looks like it might rain, so I'm just going to hold off. Well, now that the rain has stopped, it is time to work on yet another project. Remember that wood that I had to unstack so the electrical work could be done? Well, I need to get all that wood put away. And I had it stacked underneath this front window here, but I've decided to go ahead and stack this wood in the woodshed and get it out of the way here, because I have some plans for this window that I'll show in a future video. So as I pile all this wood into the gorilla cart and then pull it on over to the woodshed, my friend is taking the time to carefully stack all this wood in there and help me get it up off the ground. And then we're going to go ahead and just finish cleaning up the yard before we call it a day. Oh, remember that bear from last week? And I told you I would tell you what he was up to? Well, it looks like he was trying to figure out what's underneath the hood of my truck. In a moment, he's going to stand up and you're going to see just how tall he actually is for a young juvenile bear. And as Ed over at Mountain Mariner mentioned, he's awfully skinny. And a skinny bear is not a good bear to be hanging around with. No bear really is, to be honest. And this is why I'm always carrying. Because you never know what you might encounter. Well, as you can see, a lot got done around the property this week. But there is more to be done. Not only construction work and projects on the outside of the property, but lots more travel is scheduled as well. And I'm sure there'll be lots more wildlife coming through the property. So make sure that you turn on bell notifications and that you're subscribed if you're not already. And if you are, I want to say thank you. But nonetheless, that way you won't miss any of my future adventures or projects. And I look forward to seeing you in the comments of this video and on future ones as well. But until next time, please stay safe and take care. And thanks again for watching And remember, there might be some outtakes here for you in just a moment as well. Again, take care, and I'll see you again on the next one.
Hey, Marty. Where did you go? I told you I can't see in the dark. Marty? Did you hear that? Marty, this better not be one of your practical jokes.
Where is everyone? I thought we were supposed to meet here at 12. Or was it 10? I forget. Is that Baron? I can't stand that guy with that massive rack and his ego. He gets all the girls.
Hey, buddy. Listen closely. I got something to tell you. You're the best. That's right, you're the best.
Whether you've contributed through a YouTube membership, Patreon, PayPal, or you've donated to the channel in other ways, your support means a lot to me. So with that being said, that concludes today's video. I want to thank you for watching and joining me today. As always, stay safe and take care until the next time, and I'll see you then.